Friday, June 25. Welcome to CGN News. President Dr. Ifran Ali has signed an order removing Haiti from the list of countries that enjoy visa-free travel to Guyana. Haiti was in January 2019 added to the list by former President David Granger. This means that Haitians will no longer enjoy the automatic 6-month stay upon arrival in Guyana. Attorney General Anil Nandlal had announced that visa restrictions for Haitian and Cuban nationals were in the works in an effort to clamp down on a suspected human trafficking ring in the country. iNews Guyana reports that 9,239 Haitians entered Guyana in 2020, but only 717 are documented as leaving. So far, for 2021, 1,378 Haitians were documented entering Guyana, with 165 shown to have left. Guyana's health minister says the consignment of vaccines from COVAX has been delayed until July. Dr. Frank Anthony said the original arrival date was mid-June. Guyana has previously received doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine through the COVAX facility. Anthony said the government has also paid for the shipment from vaccines from the African Union as well as 100,000 doses of the Sinopharm vaccine. This is expected to arrive by the end of the month. In addition to the vaccines purchased, Guyana has received vaccines from Barbados, India, and China. To date, 229,846 persons have received their first dose, representing 47.2% of the country's adult population. A high court in Barbados has struck down a claim by students seeking judicial review of the process of the 2020 Caribbean Examinations Council CXC exams and the format for this year's exams. It ruled that CXC is an intergovernmental organization and is immune to any form of legal processes in Barbados. However, the group's lead attorney says an appeal will be filed in due course. The legal team had asked the court to declare that the examination process and means of assessment in the CAPE and CSEC exam were unlawful. The claimants also wanted an injunction restraining the CXC from administering the 2021 examinations as proposed. Jamaica has again been left off Britain's green list of places from which travelers will be exempt from quarantining upon arrival in England. Malta, Ibiza, and several Caribbean countries have been added to the list, but Jamaica remains on amber. Under the new rule, countries are designated green, amber, or red, consistent with factors including vaccinated percentage, rates of infections, and emerging variants. Jamaica has recorded 49,841 COVID cases and 1,049 deaths, and 1.1% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Travelers from amber countries are required to quarantine for 10 days, but not at a government-stipulated facility. 30,000 doses of China's Sinopharm vaccine are expected to arrive in Barbados today. Health Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic made the disclosure as he reported a new cluster of COVID-19 cases at a business place. After days of reporting none or very few new cases, Bostic said one business accounted for 6 of the 7 new cases reported Tuesday. Prime Minister Mia Mottley recently announced that the existing curfew would be lifted on June 30. Bostic said the pending rollout of the Sinopharm vaccine will include vaccinating approximately 250 Chinese residing in Barbados. Overseas now, rescuers are desperately searching for any survivors trapped in the rubble of a collapsed 12-story residential building north of Miami. Search teams are working around the clock and report hearing people banging beneath the debris. At least one person has died and dozens are unaccounted for, officials say. The number of those not yet located has risen from 51 to 99. Miami-Dade police say it is unclear how many people were in the building at the time. The complex in Surfside was built in 1980. Out of 130 units, about half were affected by the collapse. A number of Latin American migrants have been reported missing by their consulates. The Cowessess First Nation in Canada says it has found 751 unmarked graves at the site of a former residential school in Saskatchewan. They said the discovery at the Marieville Residential School was the most substantial to date in Canada. The school was operated by the Catholic Church from 1899 to 1997 in the area where Cowessess is now located. It is not yet clear if all of the remains are linked to the school. Marieville was one of 130 compulsory government-funded boarding schools run by the church. An estimated 6,000 children died while attending these schools. This discovery comes weeks after the remains of 215 children were found at a similar school in British Columbia. Scientists from the University of Oxford are giving ivermectin to people with COVID symptoms to see if it can keep them out of hospital. The study will compare those given the drug and patients receiving the usual National Health Service care. The drug has become controversial after being promoted for use across Latin America and in South Africa. The Oxford team said they had selected ivermectin to be included in the trial because it was readily available globally and known to be relatively safe. Rudy Giuliani has had his law license suspended in New York for making demonstrably false and misleading claims around the 2020 U.S. election. Giuliani, 77, is a former New York City mayor and a personal lawyer to Donald Trump. Trump refused to admit losing the November election, and Giuliani went to court to overturn the result, claiming it had been fixed. Hours after a New York appeals court ruled Giuliani had lied about electoral fraud to the public, and in legal statements, Trump repeated the claims again without providing new evidence. The decision is temporary, pending the outcome of a full disciplinary hearing. And finally, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte has rebuked Prime Minister Viktor Orban over new anti-LGBT legislation. Arriving for an EU leaders summit, Orban insisted his country's law had nothing to do with gay rights. But Rutte's comment that Hungary has no business being in the European Union shows widespread frustration with Hungary. He said he was aware he could not push Hungary out of the EU by himself, so it had to be done step by step. The law focuses on increased punishment for pedophiles, but an amendment in June banned the portrayal of homosexuality among under 18s. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.